Hello everyone, it's Michael from Chess Lifestyle, and yeah, today I wanted to continue analyzing my game yesterday. I went through it, and I feel like I drew some conclusions, but I realized that um, I didn't feel satisfied enough. Like if I were to come across this line again, whether I'd be able to like win 10 out of 10 times, like definitely didn't have that kind of confidence. So um, one really good thing I can recommend for you to do is if you have a very strong player you can refer to, um, and like they play the same opening repertoire as you, then you can kind of get some clues as to how they handle certain positions that you might struggle with. So there's this great website called openingtree.com, and what you can do is you can actually look up Lichess, chess.com usernames, input their username, and then filter like whatever games you want to see, and then create a whole database of games. And the best thing about it is you can actually save the results of this. So for instance, I loaded all of Hikaru's chess.com blitz games for black. And I did this a while back, and I don't know, it took like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour for like the whole thing to load. Maybe not that long. Maybe it was only like 5-10 minutes. But still, you don't want to have to like load it every single time and it take 5-10 minutes. So you can actually save the tree file, and then you can click load tree. And then when you click it, you can like open the file, and then click continue, and then you click load opening tree. And then rather than taking 5-10 minutes to load, it will just take like maybe 10 seconds. And yeah, we see we've got 12,000 games of Hikaru's, 1,600 of which are playing the move g6. So this is a great like resource. And if we have a look at what came up yesterday, this bishop d3 move, you can see that Hikaru's managing to win. What percentage is this? 81% with the black pieces in this line, which is unbelievable, right? So let's see how he does it. So after e5, which is the most critical test, I remembered actually that Hikaru was playing this bishop g4, which is what I played as well. And I'm very curious to see how Hikaru deals with the objectively strong knight bt2, so we will take a look at that in a sec. But I also want to see what happens after h3, because this was what happened in my game. And after queen takes, I remember the engine saying c5 was best, but Hikaru's playing e6, which is what I played. And I think white castled in this position, if I remember correctly. No, he played c3 first. Oh no, this is Hikaru's game. Wait a sec. I want to go to my game, my league match. Yeah, so this was my league match. Yeah, and he castled first. I played c5, he played c3. So there's one game of this, and Hikaru actually opts to play knight d7 here. And I've noticed that actually he does this really interesting setup, which never crossed my mind. But actually, in this position, rather than play with knight c6, what Hikaru is doing is playing the move knight d7, and then playing knight e7, and then playing c5, and only then opting for knight c6 as a plan. So I really like the spirit of this, actually, and I'm curious like what engine has to say. So after e6, yeah, and I'll just show you like in this game, which I've imported, this is exactly how it went. So he went e6, then he played c5, played this knight d7, and brought the other, well, first he wanted to stop the knight from coming in, and then he brought the other knight to e7, and brought it to c6. So actually, maybe the knights are better situated like this, because this knight is actually attacking e5. So it never crossed my mind to develop in this way. It's really interesting. So c5 first, engine seems to be a fan. And interesting how like the engine actually prefers my move, which is knight c6, even though this is not what Hikaru went for. If we play knight e7, I'm very curious what happens after bishop g5. Is the point we can play h6? Because if h6 and he plays bishop f6, I was wondering if we can get away with this motif, because I've seen this motif before where black plays rook g8 and then plays knight f5 next. I've seen this motif in some modern lines. But the thing is, the white queen can already come out, and maybe that's not so desirable. So what is the best move order for this, actually? In this position. Yeah, if we play knight e7, and he plays c3, we play knight d7. Maybe I should just start with this. And if he plays slowly, maybe we can play the c5 now. I'm kind of interested to give this a go, actually. This configuration of the pieces. I think it makes a lot of sense, actually. But I'm surprised again. Like, why is the eval like so in white's favor in these kind of positions? Something like this. Yeah, and I guess maybe the problem is this knight actually doesn't get to take on e5 if there's no way to undermine it. But there is this plan of f6. Yeah, interesting. Okay, let's have a look at all of the games from Hikaru. So we've basically got 3 games to reference here. let's take a look at each one. So if c3, it might. Yeah, okay. There's 3 different games. So let's have a look at all 3 of them, and then this one as well. And of course, these are blitz games as well, so the opponents aren't playing like necessarily that well. Let's flip this board. Okay, and I realize my camera is on the wrong side, so let me move over. Okay, so yeah. Oh god, the chess.com board is like my eyes actually can't handle this. I reckon I'd be like 200 elo lower playing on this board. Jesus. Okay, so Hikaru plays with knight d7 and c5. Let's see if this is consistent, actually. Wow, so we actually start from Moretti in this game. But we quickly transpose to the same opening. Again, knight d7 meets h4 of h5, and then playing for c5. Okay, so knight d7 first and then c5. Interesting. So let's make a quick note of this, actually, in my game. So here, let's actually put this. This is Hikaru's choice. Black aims to follow up with c5 next, with knight e7 to knight c6. And we'll have to delve into this deeper, but I first want to start with just like seeing the full games of Hikaru. So yeah, we have this knight d7 then c5. This again was knight d7 and c5. And then this game, let's just confirm how Hikaru is playing. So we have a different move order this time. White is playing with first c3 as opposed to this bishop d3. Hikaru goes for the same setup. We transpose here. And Hikaru is playing c5 first. So okay, there's some variance. It's not like he's playing this knight d7 every time. But very quickly he plays knight d7 next. So it is clear that this is happening. Now, the one thing I want to actually check that just crossed my mind is what happens if we play the move knight d7 and white just straight up plays b4 and just says, I'm not going to allow you to play c5. And it looks like we can actually go for f6 already. That's really shocking to me. So let's explore this a bit further as well. Also, a5 is a very interesting move to try and undermine this b4 pawn. But let's see how f6 works. So if e takes f6, we take back with the queen. And we don't care that our king's in the center and this is a backwards pawn. So the queen is being hit. Let's say they play knight d2. And we're getting away with this. Wow, okay. Right, and actually we're threatening to win the pawn immediately. Oh, I can understand how this is actually very strong. Huh. This is actually a very strong move. I was thinking of b4, maybe at what, Josh? And also welcome to the stream. If a5. Yeah, I really like this move. Like, there's no a3 because of takes, and we take the rook. b5, I don't believe in either. The c5 move looks really thematic. Yeah, so this 97. And I'll just put, also, black has possibilities of a quick f6. Yeah, really interesting. I think I'll get rid of this knight e7 move because it doesn't seem to be what Hikaru's playing. I don't see why it's necessarily the best to start with. So I think this knight d7 is very interesting. Mistyped, I meant to say a5 instead of at. I was thinking of b4, maybe a5. Right, yeah. I really like this f6 plan. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if white is playing a move like b4, but isn't like supporting the center, isn't developing a piece, even weakening this diagonal, then this f6 move to unleash all of this firepower is a really nice idea. So let's then move on a bit further into the game. So Hikaru's playing this knight d7, c5. And then we have knight e7. Okay. And this time, white does go bishop g5. So I'm glad to see this. And I really don't believe that this can be correct. Like, just allowing this trade? Like, surely not. Unless this is actually good. Let's actually... You know what? Let's actually have all of these games in the... Let's have all of these games. I want them all. Why won't it let me share? PGN. Okay, this chapter 59, I just wanted to analyze the game and see like what the accuracy was of my opponent. I think you can probably just about see it. But he played 91%, made no blunders. Yeah, just a very, very good, very decent game. I'll move myself over just so you can see it for a second. But yeah, I can delete this chapter now. I was just curious. But yeah, let's delete that. And let's input these PGNs. So we've got also this one. Okay, so this was where we have this interesting knight d7, c3, c5. And here, after knight e7, heading to c6, we have bishop g5. Wow, and queen b6 is top move? Are you actually serious? My god, Hikaru is actually too strong at chess. Holy crap. Queen b6 is just negative? Wow. Wow, okay. So it really looks like this is the best move order then. If bishop g5 is literally good for black. Wow. Incredibly, this is better for black. So what wait, black literally won in like 2 moves here? In 4 moves? Are you kidding me? Against a 2900? So king takes e7. Aha, yeah, so in this position I would imagine that queen e2 or something is needed. And this is already... Oh, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable chess. It's just already winning. So knight d2 makes a lot of sense. But the point is this is already a problem. Wow. How did he make it so easy? So that's why white took on c5, and then when Hikaru took here... Yeah, and then you just lose the rook. So what, you have to play like knight d2? Oh my god, you can lose the knight. I need to wake up. I need to wake up. Right, so this is just busted. Holy crap. Queen e2. What? Didn't even take the rook? Oh, that's cold. That's absolutely cold. What the hell? I'm gonna give this an exam. Doesn't even want the rook. Jeez. What a guy. What a guy. What a miniature. Holy crap. This is actually like one of the most incredible modern games I've ever seen. Oh, that would be a really good name of a Chessable course. Oh my god, I've got to write it. The Hikari Modern. And I will just make a repertoire based on Hikari's lines. Oh, that's gonna be huge. I'm just gonna make some notes on this. I mean, if like my 1c3 Venom takes off as a repertoire, I gain some reputation as an author. He literally doesn't care. He literally doesn't care. Can you imagine how popular the Hikari Modern would be as a course? And it's all about the Gurgenitsa. Oh, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Like, the theory would be based more on Hikaru. I'd show all these model games that I've collected over the past couple of years. Yo, that would be sick. What a line. What a line. 97. Okay. And this is why it's so important to be able to like look at model games. It doesn't matter if it's like, you know, some classical game or if it's like some blitz game. As long as like you can trust the source of the moves. And I trust the fact that Hikaru can beat a 2900 in 15 moves more than the engine eval. Like Queen B6. How is this so venomous? It's actually so strong. Like Rook E1 is such a natural move as well to like discourage F6. How is this already like turning the tables? Like it's just crazy. I love this Gurgenitsa Modern so much. Actually such an amazing line. I could literally just like spend the rest of the stream just playing over these moves again and again. Like absolute magician. I don't know how he does it. Well, has he played the modern classical or just over the board? That's a good question. Well, I mean, he played a hyper-accelerated dragon in yesterday's candidates, which is like not quite a modern, but kind of similar. I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has. I don't know what would be the easiest way to see. Maybe Hikaru, Nakamura, chess games, and maybe his chess-based folder will come up. We can have a quick look. I don't know. What's the best way to see? Maybe chess tempo. We can have a look. Ah, unbelievable game. Unbelievable game. Yeah, but I want. Okay, now I really want to see the rest of the games as well. So, in this game, like I literally thought Queen B6 was just like some, you know, pre-move, and he blundered like Bishop takes E7 or something, and it's just completely good. So just meet this Bishop G5 always with this Queen B6 due to the weakness of B2. And then he goes for the C5 again. And are we going to see Knight E7? No, he takes here. I wonder what happens if Knight E7. Can they actually take? They can't take. And this is just better for black again. Yo, the king just stays in the center. This is actually such a cool idea. You can just play Knight E7 and you don't care. Literally don't care. Actually unbelievable. Wow. Knight E7. So Knight D7, C5, drop the queen to B6, develop Knight E7. And if the bishop doesn't come here, we just put the knight on C6. I love it. Absolutely love it. And what, he again wins in 3 moves here? Like, how is he doing this? Like, how is he beating 2800s in this position in 3 moves? Literally... Oh no, he lost in 3 moves, okay. I was gonna say if Hikari's turning around the +3 position in 3 moves. Yeah, and then this is lost. Oh no, poor Hikari. Ah, interesting. So he literally should care about this. So this is very strong. That makes sense. So knight e7 should be the way to go, on the basis that they can never take this knight. Yeah, yeah. I thought Hikaru was just some god, and no, he just got completely wrecked. I mean, that's how the modern goes, right? Like, it's a bit double-edged. What did I want to do? Yes, I wanted to see if Hikaru was playing. Is this the number of games he's played? Oh, no wonder he's a GM. Like, holy crap, he's played this many games? This can't all be over the board, right? Ah, no, it's including Title Tuesday. That's kind of annoying. That's kind of annoying. I don't know if there's a way... Let's have a look. I want to see if... I mean, of course Hikaru's going to have played a lot of Modern in Title Tuesday. But what about... Maybe chessgames.com will show, like, what he's been playing. I think ChessBase also has Title Tuesday, so that's not going to be so useful. With the black pieces, yeah, it doesn't mention a modern. I feel like the Repertoire Explorer is like a premium... Oh, okay. Never mind, never mind. So E4, let's have a look. 36 games of G6, so... Okay, definitely hasn't played it as much as C5 or E5. After all, he is a super grandmaster. But he has played G6. The links below are restricted to premium members. Well, okay, we got our answer. 36 games. And really good percentages with black as well. That's really cool. Yeah, respect to Hikaru. Damn. Let's see. If we include... Why is this taking so long? Yeah, if we include Title Tuesday... Okay, we got 200 games. Bishop G7... Yeah, and if knight f3, see the c6 move. Yeah, just... Actually, we can see if there's any extra games. If bishop d3 here, d5, e5. Oh, but white's got a great score. Bishop g4, and players are knowing this knight bd2. Which we still need to look at. We still need to take a look at how this goes. And we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. So let's take a look at the final game, the final model game of this. Santo Blue. Let's have a look. Right, so in this position, from our understanding, we would want to play knight d7 first. We have the options to play with f6. We also have the options to play with c5. So I really like the spirit of this move. c5, okay, fair enough. And we go for knight d7 anyway. And then our opponent played knight a3. Hikaru played a6 to stop this. And then this knight e7 plan. They don't go bishop g5, so Hikaru just continues with knight c6. And we get this position. And I really like how, in this game, Hikaru is keeping the tension. I'm starting to fear this c takes d4, which is what I played in my game. And I feel like this just led to problems. Yeah, so I think this was good. So let me just complete that line. c5 here, c3. Yeah, we can get rid of this knight e7, so knight c6. Yeah, and this is how my game went, right? And I thought queen b6 was a really nice move. And yeah, I mean, I literally played this like an engine, this opening, and still got such a difficult position. Yeah, this was where this knight g7 was a better try. But even so, this just isn't easy. It really isn't easy to play. And this was the point. We can actually take him. There's no queen f4 due to this. But, God. Man, chess is so difficult to understand. Queen g4 is fine though. What's the difference? some bishop b5. And why does that not work in this position? Like, I literally don't understand the difference. Oh, we've got this fork at the end. Are you kidding me? That's why it doesn't work. My god, chess is too hard. Chess is way too hard. Chess is way too hard. Let's keep going with this game. I want to see how Hikaru either gets wrecked or wrecks this guy. So we get this setup. He's staying solid. He finally decides to take. And then play with queen b6. Like, why did he put the queen on c7? Feels really odd. Queen b6 looks like much more natural of a move. Ah. Oh. Ah, he creates like a... Ah, that's so smart. Ah, he's so smart. So if he were to play queen b6, well, then the opponent would deal with the threat, right? But by playing queen c7, he just waits to see if white makes a mistake. And this... Oh my god. So this shows the hand too fast. And white will defend b2. So black plays effectively a nothing move. Waits to see if white weakens their position and then strikes. And this is a mistake, or at least inaccurate. And then now this is good. Now white has trouble on b2 and d4. Wow. Ah, he's so good. He's so good at chess. And then this. What? So I guess he was a little bit afraid of this complication, which is very fair enough. Well, even fg6. Yeah, I mean, I can understand how Hikaru didn't calculate this, but instead played for this, 2 pieces for a rook, and then winning this pawn. Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. My god. This is the kind of chess I want to play. This Garganitsa Modern is an actual beauty. Yo, Kyogen Moashi, how is it going? How are you doing in Osaka? Great to see you on the stream. Basically, I've been analyzing Hikaru Nakamura's games. He's one of the top players in the world in chess, and he plays a very similar opening to me. And the great thing nowadays with the internet, and especially with some of the chess websites, there's a website called openingtree.com, and you can literally just upload their username for their online account, get access to all of their games in a really, really nice format, right? Like if we go all the way to the beginning here, you can see on the right hand side of the screen all of the moves, and then you can like have links to their games. You can understand. It's just what a great time to be a chess player. But yeah, I've been understanding how Hikaru played this opening differently to me, because I played a league match yesterday and I lost the league match, and I've been trying to understand like if I could have like played it any better in the opening. Of course, there were many areas that needed work. But yeah, I really like Hikaru's approach. Basically, playing with knight d7, then c5, then knight e7, knight c6, and this idea of like, oh, this game. I gotta see it one more time. This game was so good. Like playing with e6, and then yeah, knight d7, and the point is being not afraid to allow this pin, because you've always got this queen b6 move. Such a cool idea, just allowing the king to get stuck in the center, but it doesn't matter. And yeah, he doesn't even take the rook. Yeah, well, what a game. What a game. Okay, so I feel a lot more confident actually in this line. I think I will try Hikaru's moves and see how they fare. one line I do want to check out, bishop d3 with knight bt2. I do want to see this line, and I'm also very curious to see how Hikaru dealt with it, right? So this is the line I'm talking about. Knight f3, c6, bishop d3, and d5. And after e5 here, bishop g4, and the move knight d2. So in this position, Hikaru was playing e6, and now we have the h3 move, and the point is now we can take back with a knight. And it's crazy, right? Like, this evaluation is plus 0.1, and when we compare it to the evaluation of this, which is almost the same position, this is plus 0.3. So what that tells you is that the position itself is probably not that much better, but it's probably some very precise line in order to realize this plus 1.1, in my opinion. So let's actually have a look now on opening tree, and let's see how Hikaru is dealing with this. So not knight c3, but knight f3, c6, bishop d3, d5, e5, bishop g4, knight d2. And Hikaru is playing a lot of c5 immediately. Interesting. So, okay, he's playing both. Let's take a look at e6 first. What's going on here? So h3 takes, knight d7. And are we going for a similar plan? Let's have a look. So if we play knight d7 in this position, and they castle, and again, we go for c5. Oh, Hans Niemann. A game against Hans Niemann, that's cool. So c5, c3, and then knight e7. This looks really thematic. So what is the difference here? This just looks fine. c5, c3, and knight e7. What could be wrong with this? Don't really get it. And here, white has played g4, white has played bishop e3. Let's have a look at both. So if bishop e3 seems to keep the advantage, g4 seems really unhinged, because I don't even know if we're threatening to play this, because I'm skeptical of this capture, right? Like, let's say they play a move like this. Yeah, you can always capture this and it seems to be alright. So in this position, okay, let's see how Hikaru dealt with it. And again, if white plays bishop g5 here, we again can play queen b6, and we never have to worry about this move. Or maybe we do here. It's crazy to me how there's such a big difference in eval though, in the lines that we just looked at and these lines. Let's see how Hikaru played. So bishop e3, aha, and he's got a game against Hans Niemann of this line. So cd4 was one game, knight c6 was another. Okay, so in this position, bishop e3, if we play knight c6, honestly looks alright to me, like, feels fine. Queen d2. Okay, how did Hikaru play? So takes, castles. And black is under so much pressure here. Like, I don't really understand. Let's see. So he plays knight a5, rook c8. Yeah, and he takes the file first. That's cool. Wow. He literally went down a piece and managed to win this anyway. He literally lost a piece and managed to outplay his opponent. Wow, with the queen sack as well. Oh my god. Hikaru is actually too strong. Holy crap. So interesting to see this line of basically Hikaru kind of playing for the same setup that we just looked at. And I also want to see what happens in this immediate c5 before e6. So we've got dc5. Knight d7. That kind of makes some sense. And then take like this. Right. I feel like king f8 was probably okay there. And here c3. He takes immediately and even plays knight c6. It's kind of surprising to me. So let's see what the point is. Knight c6. And e6 like this. And if knight c6 first. And then he takes on d4. Okay, so let's just have a very quick look to see how this fares. So instead of e6, what happens if c5 immediately? Okay, wow. So actually, c3 is the only move here. If takes on c5, you can even take on e5. That's kind of shocking to me. I mean, I kind of like Hikaru's move, of knight d7. Ah, but this move is a bit annoying. And you can't take on e5 now? Oh, because when you take with the queen, then it's hit with tempo. Oh boy. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, this is strong. So this would be a mistake. But if we take immediately, then it's fine. Because if they check, I guess we can play knight c6, yeah. That's kind of interesting. Maybe it's worth playing with c5 to see if they will take. I can imagine a lot of players taking here. And if they play c3, we're seeing this idea of takes on d4 and here. And we're getting this type of position with e6. This looks a little bit tough though. Bruh, it's crazy. Like Leech's engine is so annoying, right? It says plus 1.2, plus 1.4 for e6 and c5. As soon as you play e6, it says plus 1.6. And as soon as you play c5, it says plus 1.1. It's like, Leech's really be trolling. And this eval keeps dropping with every move. e6, which literally transposes, does it not? e6, and then takes. Could you not play c5 here? And it's literally the same. These evals make no sense. These evals literally make no sense. There's like a difference of like plus 0.7, and it just literally just puts a random number. I mean, I understand that the depth is probably different and this is affecting it, but yeah, it just shows how like can't always rely on. So okay, I want to get to some conclusion about this. Like, if my opponents play this knight bd2 line, how am I going to play this? Am I going to play with e6? Am I going to play with the immediate c5? I kind of like e6 first, to be honest, just to stick with the same setup and play with knight d7, and then play with c5, and then play with knight e7, just like how Hikari played online. I think this is like reasonable. And yeah, in this position, I think we've got some plays here. We've got f6 if needed. We can try and challenge the c file. Let's have one last look how Hikari played it. So I want to see this e6 line. So e6, h3, takes, 97. And yeah, let's see this game of knight e7 as well, because I don't think we saw this one. So I'm going to guess after c3 is c5. Yep. Oh, okay, it transposes. And let's just see how black dismantled this guy. So knight c6, and again with cd4. And wow, playing with f6 here. Okay, interesting. With this queen takes. And queen f7, castles, queen f6. This is like not... This is an interesting idea. I kind of like it. Oh, what a maneuver. What a maneuver. That's super nice. I really like it. I really like it. So I think ideas of... I'll just put here, like, ideas to play on c-file. Also ideas of f6. And queen takes f6. If needed. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Okay, but I think we've understood something about opening. At least something to try for next time, and we'll see if like it can hold up in over the board chess. I feel like I'm ready to give this a go. And I mean the fact that, you know, it's so easy to just fall apart with the white pieces here if you just like make one little slip up. I think it's really nice to see. Let's have one last look at the line where, yeah, so he brings the knight to c6. He then just keeps the tension. I really like this, keeping the tension. And yeah, and this queen c7 move was just like so nice. Like white has basically completed that development. And even baits bishop f4. Even tries to bait. If I, yeah. Edit. Queen c7. Even baits bishop f4. Yeah, this setup is really, really strong. I really like how there's just like pressure in the center like this. Even if Engine doesn't believe in it. I kind of do. Yeah. This is very cool. I mean, to be honest, I don't like how white developed the knight. But at the same time, that was because black never took on d4. So I really like black delays taking on d4 until white has developed their b1 knight suboptimally. Because, I mean, when we compare this to my game, I basically allowed my opponent to put the knight on c3. Because I took too quickly. Yeah, and like had I played like knight d7 here, then maybe my opponent would have like needed to develop, and then I could just play knight e7, and then he would need to find a way to develop his knight, maybe knight d2. And we can basically just keep the tension and just keep waiting. And I don't believe in this queen e2. Let's just see what Engine has in mind. And yeah, you could play a move like how Hikaru did, or first we could castle first, right? And or even we could do it now, right? I really like this idea of queen c7 and baiting this bishop f4 and then saying takes and queen b6. Or, okay, we could even take immediately here, actually. Yeah, I guess that made more sense when the knight was on c2, right? But yeah. So yeah, if we castle, why is white doing so well here? f4. We can play with f6 ideas. I really like the fact that we have f6 as a potential idea as well. Yeah, and it gives a plus for white. This is kind of nice actually as a maneuver. Yeah, we didn't see a game of Hikaru's where this happens. Yeah, this looks a little bit uncomfortable actually. This seems like quite a nice plan. Maybe this is like why the Engine really likes this position, because white can do that plan. What if we don't castle then? What if we don't castle and we instead develop the rest of our pieces? If we play rook c8, let's say they play f4 anyway. How is this different? So it's saying we can take, play knight b4. Are we already playing like knight c2 or something? Why isn't knight c2 a good move? Knight e4, are you serious? Like, what the hell is knight e4? What the hell is knight e4? Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the discovered attack on the knight and trying to come in with check. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of like delaying the castling. Just like staying flexible where to go. It's just such a tricky opening to master, but I really like the challenge of it. And if we just go back and knight f3, what's our... Yeah, I guess it's slightly tricky to achieve something, and that's why as well, like, these knights are basically ready to play for this f6 push, but once f4 is in the position, then it's definitely harder to make f6 work. So this f4 idea is kind of strong, I think. Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's a real debate, like, you know, should I be playing like what Engine recommends or should I be playing what Hikaru recommends? Because kind of what I played was like more similar to Engine recommendation, right? Had I played knight e7, this is like the closest to equality that we've been seeing. Oh, but these knight d4 lines were insane. These were crazy. I don't even remember, like, why this was... Oh, and the point was to play knight ec6, right? Yeah, and the point is then this is coming, right? So, this is really tough. Yeah, and then managing to hold everything just about. But also not even, like, look at this line. This is just... an h5, queen b4. Yeah, this is so sharp. It's actually so sharp. Yeah. But now, really interesting stuff. And actually here, Engine is just saying we can just chill in castle, and if knight a4 trying to come into c5. I really didn't like the look of this. I guess maybe there's nothing immediate, but wow, b6 is good, and after knight b7? Queen d7 and knight d6, and this is better for... Oh, with f6. Okay, I hadn't appreciated this whole line. Wow. The knight coming to c5 is not that big of a deal. Can't even be bad. Yeah, this was like lines I was calculating in the game, where I didn't want the knight coming into d6, but I didn't appreciate how strong f6 was. Which makes sense now. So what, if he takes... Ah, we can take because the queen is hanging, right? Oh, that's really smart. Okay, okay. So maybe the way I played it is actually not so bad. Like, we have the knight pressuring the center on c6. Our other knight on e7 as opposed to on d7. I'm not too sure the difference between these lines. I still don't know why one is better, one is not as good. Let's say they just build this up more, right? Let's say they play like similar to the game, like rook c1. And we're still able to play f6 here, even though we don't have the knight on d7 and don't have the queen on d8. It's kind of surprising to me. And what we take with the rook. Yeah, it's just another way to play. And now I guess we've got this knight f5 move. So this is also interesting. Yeah. Yeah, but firstly, it's really good to see that, you know, this f6 motif as a way to disrupt the knight on d6. This is really good. And then, yeah, this rook ac1, just, we can always undermine with f6, even with the knight here. And actually putting the knight... Is this the point, actually? Is it to put the knight on f5? Let's say if queen e2. Okay, we can put the knight on f5 in lines. Queen d6 first makes sense, just to control more of the center. And what, if white just plays something like this, we can already think about something like this. And do these trades. And even taking with the pawns are good. Would not have expected that. But I guess this pawn is actually an isolated pawn now. So maybe that's the point. I kind of like... I don't know, actually. Maybe this makes a lot of sense. Like, have pressure on this pawn for the rest of the game. Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. Really, really interesting. I was worried about e6 being weak after f6, so maybe that is why king e7 is actually a useful move in that other line. Aha. Yeah, this is my fear as well, like with this pawn structure. Like, I remember some French defense lines where this was the idea, you play f6 to get this pawn structure. Always felt really difficult to me. But I guess in this kind of position with the knight coming to f5 fast and your pieces just being able to hold this, I guess it's not so bad. And you gain some time on the opponent's pieces. Kind of makes sense. Like this ultimately is probably weaker, right? Like with all of these pieces like lined up against it. So I guess in conclusion, we've learned how Hikaru deals with it, which is to play with knight d7, knight e7, knight c6. We've also seen how that might not be the most accurate way, because if white can like really stronghold with this structure and not allow these knights to get free, then maybe this isn't so good. We also kind of see some clever tricks from Hikaru. We also saw this idea of bringing the knight on e7 and not being afraid of bishop takes e7 because king takes, and we are very quick to hit the queen side now that the bishop on c1 is gone. So yeah, lots of interesting ideas. I think next time I get this in a game, I'm gonna have a lot more knowledge. I can hopefully play a bit faster. I'm not gonna just waste the time like deciding where to put my pieces. But it was good to see how allowing this knight in wasn't actually so bad. Yeah. But yeah, still, respect to my opponent for playing so well. Like, I think he really played it well. Just really simple chess. Yeah, and then maybe going for these plans of knight g7 and playing for simple castles. I think this is just good. Yeah, not being afraid of his knight coming in. What if the knight tries to come in this way? a6, I guess the same point with... So f6 is maybe just about okay, even though there was like some weaknesses here, right? But knight takes d4 now. And again, we're always being able to support this, right? There are these lines with knight ec6. And then this is dropping next. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. So, I think when I was playing this game, I was very afraid of his knight coming into d6. I think now we can appreciate that it's not the most solid knight in the world because the center can be undermined and then the d6 knight will be under pressure. So, yeah, all I can say is I think we understand this kind of setup a bit more. I think this is useful. If our opponent plays this knight to 2 line, which is like even stronger, according to Engine, I think we play it in the same way. And I think we can have the choice between either playing it like Engine kind of style or playing it kind of Stockfish style. And I guess the reason actually why this is a better line now is that I can appreciate there are so many lines where the queen was actually a target, right? Either on d4 or on the f file. And just to avoid this makes a lot of sense. Knight e7. Bishop g5. I'd imagine queen b6 is fine. And yeah, again, they can't take. Yeah. Yeah, or the alternative is to develop in Hikaru's way. This was also very interesting as well. And eventually playing for like an f6 break. This was also playable. Yeah, but okay. I've never studied this line properly in the past, so I didn't know any of these ideas. So yeah, it's good to see all these lines. But yeah, thanks Josh and thanks Kyogen for tuning in. And I think I'm going to call it a day there. I have many videos of chessboard to film and a chess lesson later today. So I better get focused on working on that. So thank you all for watching and see you tomorrow.